guys, it's Chelsea of the Lit Sisters, and today, as you might see from this beautiful sign that I worked very hard on to make, and I drew all these little things. I mean, it's probably not even in focus, but I did it for you. Today, I am going to be doing a book talk on the Mortal Instruments. Yay! Fun fact, this is actually the second time I filmed this book talk, because the first time, something happened with the microphone, and it wasn't recording at all, so yay for second takes, or whatever. Let's begin this video with my notes from my cute little food book. Okay, so my general thoughts about the book, without being spoilery, were that I really liked them. I think I definitely liked the second half of the book series more than the first half. The first half, after I read those, I just thought they were kind of okay. Not that I hated them, but I just, you know, they were alright. And then I read the Infernal Devices, because I read that that was like the correct order to read them in. And I really liked the Infernal Devices. So even though I was kind of just okay about the first 3 Mortal Instruments books, I did go ahead and pick up the last 3, and I'm very glad that I did because I enjoyed them so much more. It's not even to say that the first half of the series is bad. I just think that Cassandra Clare was a new writer and those were like her first books. So I just think she progresses for every book that she writes. So every book that she writes is better than the one before, and there was just something happened in between the first 3 Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices where her writing just really improved a lot, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I did in the first 3. Even though I did like the first 3, I wasn't in love with them, like a lot of people I know are in love with this series. But after reading Infernal Devices and the second half of the Mortal Instruments series, I definitely see why they're in love with it, because now I'm in love with it. Okay, so for the rest of this video, there's going to be spoilers. I'm going to be talking about specific things from the books, so if you haven't read them, you're gonna need to leave, or else, you know, you're not gonna be surprised when you read this book from self-talk. Bye! Okay, so for the first part of this book talk, I thought I would just make a column on my little notes here to ignore the doodles. Ignore the doodles! Of the good and the bad. Go through the bad list first so we can get the bad feelings out of the way, and then we'll go on to the good, because like I said, I did really enjoy this series. There are just some things that bugged me. So the first point in my bad list is that when we first are introduced to Clary, she has this thing that she does that drives me crazy, which is the not like other girls trope, which is basically Clary is a very special snowflake, apparently, because she's a female who is not particularly feminine. She doesn't really dress all that girly, and she's not really curvy, and she you know, plays video games and watches anime and reads manga and blah 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 blah. And she's just such a special snowflake, except there's plenty of girls who do all those things, and she's not really that different, and it's just really annoying to read that in a character, and it's one of my main grievances with the first book was that it was so prevalent in that book that I wanted to like punch her in the face sometimes. Maybe not punch, that's violent, no punching in the face. But it irritated me. I just wanted that to go away. She didn't need all that stuff to be special because she's, you know, a half angel, half human person who you didn't know about that, didn't grow up in that life. So she's special just on that alone. I don't understand why authors try to make their characters like, I'm not like other girls. Like, I hate it. I can't even like really properly express how much I hate that trope, but I really hate that trope. I will give Cassandra Clare credit that I think maybe she may have realized that this wasn't really the best path to go on with Clary, because I definitely noticed it a lot less as the series progressed, and I think in the last 3 books I really didn't even see it come up at all. It was just all about the plot and what they needed to do to fix things and everything, and we didn't really get any lines about Clary not being like other girls. Like, I can't even say that trope normally, it annoys me so much. But it does like fall away, which I really am so appreciative of because I really hated it. And this is also kind of related to my second point, which is I really hated that for some reason Clary and Isabelle just hated each other because apparently they were both girls and they didn't like girls. Like, there's so much negativity around girls and how they're portrayed in relationships. I really don't like it whenever girls meet and they just don't like each other just because they don't like other girls, or they're like, oh, she's so pretty, I hate her. Like, I hate that kind of thinking. Like, to me, it didn't seem like validated or whatever. They say like, well, Izzy doesn't like girls. I'm like, that's dumb. Like, I've never met another girl in my life who's been like, well, I hate girls. Like, that's just, it's so general, it's so negative, and we have so many negative portrayals of female relationships. Like, if there was gonna be a negative relationship between the two, I wanted it to be more earned. Like, I wanted something to actually, like, happen between them instead of them just, like, apparently hating each other upon first sight because they both had ovaries. I say hate, but that's probably too strong a word, but they definitely disliked each other when they first met. And it just did seem to be because they were girls. And it rubbed me the wrong way, and I don't like seeing that in books. But again, this is something that almost completely it does completely disappear as the book series go on, because Isabelle and Clary go on to be like really good friends. So thanks for that. And the last thing on my bad column is my least favorite thing about this entire book series. And if you've read the book series, which I assume you have if you've gotten to this point in the video, you know what that is, and that is the incest. Like, no. Like, okay. So, at the end of the first book, when we learned that Clary and Jace are potentially brother and sister, I was like, oh, that's weird, that's okay, why? And then it just, like, continued. Like, I thought when it was first introduced that it would be something that was debunked in the second book, but it continued into the third book, and then it was, like, weirdly, like, romanticized, which I find very disturbing. That's, like, my number one complaint, is that, especially in the first 3 books, it was like, I know he's my brother, but I can't stay away. Like, no, please do not romanticize incest. Just no. And then it comes up again, not between Jace and Clary, but it comes up again in the latter half of the series with Sebastian, and I was just like, can we just like, not? Every time it came up, I was just like, no. Like, no. I hated it so much. And I get what she was trying to do with Sebastian, where it was like, he was so messed up from being like born part demon or whatever happened when Clary's mom took that demon blood. But it's just, it makes my skin crawl that like his entire motivation for like everything he did in the last 3 books was so that he could basically be with Clary in the romantic sense. It just, no, please no. I really hope that in the upcoming Shadowhunter series books, I'm blanking on their names right now, but I'm really excited. Lady Midnight's already out. That there is no more incest storyline. Please, Cassandra Clare, please. No more incest storylines. You've done it twice. Twice was enough. No more. I can't take it. Please, no more. That is the end of my bad list. We're gonna move on now to the good list, because I did actually really like this series. I don't want you to think I didn't like it just because I started off with bad. I just wanted to get it out of the way, because now we're on to the good, because I really like this series overall. Okay, the number one thing I have in my the good list on this book. Again, ignore doodles. I loved the banter between characters. Like, if there's anything that I consider Cassandra Clare like really incredibly talented at, it is writing dialogue in between characters. I just thought it was I think some of my favorite dialogue I've ever read in between 2 people that's like more modern. Like, I like a lot of classic books, so I like a lot of classic dialogue that happens in those books, but like, as in like more modern day dialogue, I enjoyed this immensely. Anytime Jace and Simon talk to each other, it's like the best ever. This whole exchange, I love this exchange. It's Do you remember back at the hotel when you promised that if we lived you would get dressed up in a nurse outfit and give me a sponge bath? Asked Jace. It was Simon who promised you the sponge bath. As soon as I'm back on my feet, handsome. Like, I love the interplay with the words. I love it. It's so good. It's so good. I think is probably Cassandra Clare's like biggest strength, that and like world building, which is my second point on my good list, is that I think she is like a fantastic world builder. It was like between the banter and the characters and the world building, it was just so good. The world building was really cool. Like, I liked the whole fantasy world where it was like within our world and within like known fables that we have with or tales, I don't know what you refer to as werewolves and vampires as, but like things that we are already familiar with. We have a frame of reference for them. She just sort of took those and made them her own, and I think it really worked. I really liked the mythology of the world and just everything. Every time it opened up and we learned more, I really enjoyed it. And right now I'm reading the Shadowhunters Codex and I'm enjoying reading more about the actual mythology of everything and like more facts and everything, because I really enjoyed this world. I'm excited to explore more in these other series, so kudos to you, Cassandra Clare. You are a great world builder. And the third point, which I think I sort of mentioned before, is the characters. I think she has some very well developed characters. I mean, certainly with 6 books you spend enough time with characters to have them developed, but I got really attached to characters, and that's a way to hook me into a series, because I watched all of Glee, and it wasn't because I particularly really enjoyed the last couple seasons, because let's face it, they were kind of not very good. They were kind of okay, and they were really just not what the first couple of seasons of Glee were, and there was a difference in quality, but I stayed hooked on that show, and I still watched every episode because I was into the characters. Like, I loved those characters, and I wanted to see what happened to them. And this is what Cassandra Clare has done to me, and she has hooked me into the characters. So she has full rights to write like the shittiest book in existence, and I would read it because I love those characters so much that I need to know. I need to know what happens to them. It's part of the reason why I like pretty much read the last half of the Mortal Instruments series straight through, because I needed to know what happened to them because I was so concerned about them. I really enjoyed the characters. She did a really fantastic job at the character development of everyone, and I mean everyone. Next positive I have in my good list is that I really did enjoy, once I went back and I like reminisced about it, I really did think it was kind of cool that we got to see Cassandra Clare sort of develop as a writer. Not that I think she was ever like a horrible or bad writer, I just think that she was good and then she got great. It was really cool seeing her seeing the first book and just seeing some things that I was like, that's kind of weird to write about, or that's a kind of a weird style, and then just seeing those things kind of fade away and her get this like really amazing style and just really develop. It was just a very cool thing just to witness. It's a rare thing, I think, just to see an author's development. It's cool. It's cool, man. Last thing I have in the good column are the relationships to Malik and Sizzy and Clace. Clace is my least favorite. I generally, for me, like, I get really attached to side characters, and the main characters I'm sort of like meh about, and I like Clary and Jace. I think they're a cute couple, but I was like, they're not my favorite characters. My favorite characters were Alec and Magnus and Isabel and Simon. Like, I don't know. It's me. I like side characters a lot, but the relationships were really good. I mean, if you really want a book to read that will give you ships, this one gives you all the ships. There are so many different ships. Those are the main canon ones, but I mean there's other ones. There's Saphael, I think it's how you say it, which is Simon and Raphael, Clary and Izzy, which I think is Clizzy, which is funny. Yeah, it's just like you could read it and you could really ship anyone besides what the canon ships are, and it would work because the characters are so well developed, but I think just even the canon relationships, especially for me, were really well written, and I really enjoyed them. One thing I wanted to talk about was Magnus and Alec's relationship, just because they were my favorite characters in the book series, and I know that they're kind of a controversial couple. Some people really like them and some people really don't like them. I really like them and they're my favorite characters. And I really appreciated that relationship because I just thought it was so genuine. I know some people were really annoyed at Alec because he was so uncertain in the relationship, but I think that makes perfect sense. Like, with the way he was, like, he's a young guy, he's never been in a relationship before, he's just sort of admitting to his sexuality that he likes boys, and he just kind of almost immediately gets into this very serious relationship. And I thought it would be very true to how it would happen in real life, is if he was really to be in a relationship like that, he would be really insecure, especially being in a relationship with someone like Magnus, who's immortal and who's like over 400 years old and who's had all of these experiences that he has never that he's not had. I think that yeah, there would be naturally, you would just feel insecure, and it would take some time to get over that. And I do like that he does get over it. It is something that I think that he definitely gets past. And I know that some people really had an issue that Magnus is a bi character, and Alec basically, at one point when he's at his most insecure with Magnus, that he's finding out all his past relationships, that he basically like accuses Magnus of sleeping with everybody that Magnus ever mentions. And some of them are true, but it's a really damaging stereotype, I think, for bi people, that they're just like really slutty and they just, that's a bad word, that they're just really promiscuous and they just sleep with like everybody, and that's why they're bi, is because they want to have like as much sex as possible. That is like a very damaging stereotype that exists, and it's definitely something to be careful about. I can understand why people get offended by this point. It didn't really bug me because I don't feel like Magnus was actually portrayed to be very promiscuous. I think he was pretty monogamous, actually. It's not like we learn that Magnus regularly went to orgies or anything like that. Like, he dates one person and he's in a relationship with them, and that includes sex, yes. But Cassandra Clare never writes that he is a loose man, you know? He's like, he goes from relationship to relationship. I just don't think that Magnus is promiscuous. Like, I just don't think that's part of his character. It's not how he was written. And I did like that because he's had all these experiences, he's a little guarded, and that creates more of an issue between Alec and Magnus, because Alec is really insecure and he wants to know more about Magnus's past, and Magnus is really guarded, and he's been hurt, and he's had to live for all these hundreds of years, so he doesn't really want to just divulge into all of his history with Alec at first. So it creates tension in the relationship that I thought was very believable and very real, and I really appreciated it. As you can tell, I could probably talk about Malec for forever, so I'm gonna have to like stop myself and move on, but I loved Malec. I love him. That is my book talk on the Mortal Instruments. A very good book series. I'm excited to read more of the series in the Shadowhunters universe, and just good job, Cassandra Clare. I'm gonna be continuing on with you. You've made me a fan. Congratulations for my fandom. That's a weird way to put that. So if you like the Mortal Instruments book series and you have any thoughts or comments you want to make and we can have a discussion about it, please leave those in the comments down below. If you like this video, please hit the like button and please subscribe to our channel. If you want to have further social interactions with me and my sister, we are pretty much on every social media at The Lit Sisters. It's Twitter at The Lit Sisters, Instagram at The Lit Sisters, everything at The Lit Sisters. Thank you for watching, and until next time, happy reading!